Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. We talk about the problems people face in their day to day lives. Let's start with the video. It all started back in college, freshman year. Me and newly made best friend Trish went on a blind date. It was an amazing date, and we both had fun and kept in contact with the guys for long. I did not date anyone, the guy I went with, but Trish did. She started dating Todd soon after that date, and they were doing good. Well, of course, they were toxic because they used to fight all the time, and Trish could not stick to one guy. I was a good friend with both of them, more with Trish because she was my roommate and I practically spent every day with her. But Todd was also my best friend. We had so much in common. We used to stay up and talk about shows and books whenever he used to come over, and Trish fell asleep or had a fight and locked him out of her room. We grew pretty close. So when Trish and Todd broke up, it was pretty complicated. Technically, Trish cheated on Todd, and I knew about it. And Todd had also been looking for breaking up, so it worked for them. Trish said that she was fine with me staying friends with Todd, so I did. Todd and I used to watch shows and just hang out together. Slowly, even Trish started to join us. We all were just friends, and then just after graduation, Todd confessed his feelings for me. Todd has been my best friend throughout the college, and I was so comfortable with him, I could see no reason not to give it a shot, other than how Trish will react. So I did not give an answer to Todd. I wanted to talk to Trish about it. But when the next time I saw Trish was with my brother, making out on our kitchen counter. She told me that she could explain, and I told her that she better be, because my brother was then 31 years old and a divorcee, while Trish and I were 23. We sat down to talk, and she told me that she felt a connection with my brother since he visited last Christmas, and that they have been wanting to tell me, but they were not sure how I would react and everything. Last Christmas, I have seen her bring guys home at least 10 times since last Christmas, and by the looks of her, I could tell that she knew what I was thinking. But I fought to use the situation in my favor, so I told her about Todd. I said I was fine with whatever she and my brother had going on, but I wanted to say that Todd had asked me out and I liked him too, so I was going to say yes to him. I did not ask her for permission. I simply stated that, but to her it's definitely looked like I was begging her to say yes because she started saying, of course, and she would never mind, and that she is very happy for me. So it went on from there. Trish never had plans to hold a career. I knew that. So it was not surprising to me when I found out that my brother proposed to her after 6 months of officially dating. My brother is a lawyer and very well off, so I understand why she wanted a ring on her finger as soon as possible. Meanwhile, me and Todd were taking things slow. We were going on dates and making memories and traveling. In all that time, Trish had 2 kids. I had been so happy for my brother. He always wanted a family. He was devastated when his first wife cheated on him with his assistant. I have been afraid of that with Trish. I have warned her many times to not pull anything like that with my brother again. I got beautiful twin nieces after a year of marriage, and a few years later, me and Todd decided to tie the knot too. I thought if someone like Trish can handle kids and marriage and everything, so can I. And me and Todd have known each other for so long. We loved each other when we were already living together, so we got married. I had celebrated my 5th anniversary last month on a trip to Florida, and I never would have known something was wrong in my marriage because I loved Todd immensely. But that was not enough. Trish asked me to babysit her daughters who are turning 10 soon. Since Trish was not exactly a favorite of my parents and my brother is almost out of town, and Todd was not here for 3 days, I agreed to take the kids. She had been sitting at home for too long now and wanted to start her fashion business, so she needed to meet some people and could not be at home for at least 2 days. I was impressed that she wanted to start working and she was quite good at clothes, even though we both majored in advertising. But whatever, I believed her nonsense like a fool because that night one of our classmates from college sent me a picture of Todd and Trish laying on a beach that did not look like a picture from 10 years ago. I FaceTimed Todd immediately, desperately hoping he could pick up, but he did not. Instead, he called me normally after 2 minutes. He asked what's wrong, and I told him to pick up the FaceTime, to which he said he's at dinner with his clients and he cannot. This drove me mad, and I took my work phone and dialed Trish's number. There she was, beside my husband, because I could hear her phone ring so clearly. She immediately hung up, but I had heard enough. I hung up and cried. I just cried and cried and cried, and my eyeballs out because I knew Trish, but I did not think that she would do it to me or that Todd would do it. The girls heard me crying and woke up from their bed to come and ask me what was wrong. These were my nieces and my brother's daughters, too, not just that bitch's. So I took the girls, packed their stuff, and got on a flight to New York to my brother. On the flight, I did not let the kids sleep. Not that they wanted to, but I needed them to know how much of a bitch their mother was. I told them what she did to their daddy and how much it will hurt him and me. They started crying, on which I consoled them, but I needed to tell them what happened. We soon landed, and I went straight to meet my brother before Trish could spurt lies to him. I told him everything from the college and how she always brought boys home, even when she was with him, and now she's doing it with my husband. He was furious at me first, but I showed him the photo and told him about the calls and showed a million text messages of Todd saying sorry to me, that it was a coincidence, but I could not believe him. Todd was supposed to be traveling with his team to Seattle to close a deal, while Trish was going to LA to meet a designer. They could not possibly coincidentally end up at a beach naked when they were both supposed to be working. I loved her girls, but after whatever happened, I could not sit still. I told my brother why I brought the girls to him, that I wanted to get their DNA tested with Todd. He looked at me accusingly at first, but I knew he also wanted to know. He had been cheated on before, and he loved his family. Doubt of his daughters not being his own had been killing him, so we went to get it checked. I had brought Todd's hairbrush, and we got the DNA checked. Thank the gods that it did not match with Todd's, but when my brother decided to get it tested with his, it did not match with his either. He broke down crying. I could not imagine that she would do this, but I guess I should have. I always saw what she was, changing boys. I should not have trusted her to stay loyal to my brother. AITA for getting the DNA test done? Should it have been better if no one knew about that? Things have been very difficult in my family later. After what Trish pulled, my brother divorced her immediately. She begged him not to. She said sorry, but when my brother asked about the girls, she lied again. She did not know that we had their DNA tested, so she kept lying. Me and Todd are living separately, but we have not agreed on a divorce yet. I just do not want to see his cheating face. The girls have been living with me because I have been feeling like it is my fault that they are going through this traumatic experience at such an age. Trish refused to take the girls unless my brother agrees on making things all right. My brother loved the girls, but the knowledge of them not being his daughters is too much for him to accept them. My parents say that they knew what kind of girl Trish was and that my brother should have never married her that quick. They are right on that, obviously, but I knew Todd for years and I should have married him, so the time does not matter, I guess. Once a cheater, always stays a cheater. Todd does not even try to call anymore. He just does not press on the divorce topic because he knows it means splitting everything up, and he will not let me take a penny of what comes in the name of us. I talked to my brother regarding the girls, and he said that he can send them to a private boarding school and pay for them until they are 18. He will not do anything else, and he will certainly not let Trish back in his life. Am I the a-hole for ruining the childhood of two little girls by letting my brother do the DNA test? Trish blames me for it. She says I am too selfish to consider their future. NTA, your brother deserved to know. As a man, I can tell you I would have been more crushed if I had found out later or never at all. Getting cheated on for so long sucks. I can feel your brother. You are not the a-hole. Do not live in guilt, and those girls are going to grow up in a good school and will be provided for. Yes, you are a complete a-hole for doing that. You got your revenge by stealing a good set of parents from two girls. It was not their fault their mother cheated. You are also misogynistic, commenting on her choice of not working and marrying an older man. You also were spending time with her boyfriend, so it is not like you are right in everything. I understand being cheated on sucks, but you punished wrong people. You have not even divorced your husband for something you have stolen a father from, two kids. The a-hole. We have a 2-year-old and a newborn. I am a stay at home mom, and this is my first time having a nanny. I was weary and I do not want to leave my kids with strangers, but I just decided I would bring her along on errands to calm my mind. After my C section, I felt better than the first time around and was mobile. My needs changed and I needed more help, like cleaning and running errands. I called and asked if she was okay with it. She did mention in her interview that she has no problem cleaning up after my daughter, but that she's not a housekeeper. Depending on scope of work, she would be raising her hourly price. I asked her to just try for a week and see how she felt, and she agreed. Sometimes the kitchen was a bit messy, and I would see if she would take the initiative and clean it. But no, she only cleaned after DD. I asked again if she would mind doing extra housework so I could be with DD more, and she mentioned pay again. So I dropped it. I just wanted someone to help out with the house, so if I could be the one to put my daughter down, give her food, etc. She called me 3 weeks in and let me know that she thought I was micromanaging. I told her I would step back, but I wasn't happy that she was benefiting DD educationally, and we went with her because we thought that she was worth it. I even suggested creating a timetable of home activities since I wasn't comfortable with her going out alone with her so they could have a set schedule every day. There was also incidents where she was on the phone around my daughter and I let her know that was unacceptable and she took accountability. I also wanted to add that she wasn't flexible and often couldn't stay late when I asked due to other nanny gigs. About a month, I was observing her clean up blueberries Dee Dee had thrown while she was eating. She swept everything except this one small piece of the smashed blueberry. I watched as she left it under the island, threw away the Swifter pad, and went to the bathroom. I was mad and I didn't want to say anything for fear of her saying I'm micromanaging, but I couldn't hold back. I thought maybe that she would come clean it up after she got out. I sent Dee Dee to go play and waited for her. I asked if she was finished cleaning and she said yes. I showed her the blueberry piece she had left and she said she thought she'd swept all the blueberries and didn't see that. I didn't believe that because I was sitting right there watching her and I saw her put it there and leave it. I told her that she had already made it clear that she wasn't comfortable doing extra housework at her pay, but if she couldn't even keep Dee Dee's area clean, this wouldn't work. After a little back and forth, she said that she's not comfortable and will be resigning. I told her I agree that she should leave, and she said goodbye and left. I paid her for the full days out of the week that she worked, and plus 3 hours. So, AITA, I don't think me upkeeping the standards I set for my own house are micromanaging, and I think I'm within my right to want things a certain way. YTA, and seriously so. You don't trust your nanny. Want her to clean despite her repeatedly telling you that you'll need to pay her for that. Apparently, watch everything she's doing and nitpick it the moment she's done. Create passive aggressive trap situations and never explain them and get mad when she doesn't read your mind. The constant watching in particular would drive me up a tree. You sound like an awful person to work for. YTA. Now, I've never been a nanny, but have worked with infants and toddlers for over 15 years in daycare settings. If you don't trust me enough to leave your child with me, don't leave your child with me. Not everyone is comfortable with having their children with someone else, but you have to own that yourself. My dad has passed away and I have gotten all of his inheritance. My dad raised us in strict military style household. He was a horrible father who takes things to the extreme in our childhood, and all of his children stopped talking to him. He treated us like we were his property and belittled us all the time, almost as if he hated our existence. He actually disowned me when I was 15 because I got pregnant out of marriage with a man who was black and kicked me out to fend for myself. So I had to figure out how to provide for myself and my child. My dad ended up contacting me a month after my mom passed away, crying and apologizing on how he treated me and my siblings, and asked if we could meet up. I decided to meet up with my dad because even though my dad wasn't the greatest father, it doesn't change my love for him. When we met up, my dad seemed very genuine, so I continued seeing him, which increased to me seeing 3 times a week. My dad also tried contacting my siblings, but none of them gave him the time of day. I spoke to my siblings about the issue, and they basically told me to allow him to die a lonely death. Later on, my dad got super sick, and I ended up moving in with him with my two children to help care for him. I learned things about my dad that I never knew, and I actually started to love being around him and see him as a different person. I chose to forgive him. It was hard looking after my dad and my two children as a single mother, but I pushed myself through it until his death. But during the hard times, I asked my siblings for help, and they both mocked me for even helping my dad. Told me I should just throw him in an old age home, and even asked for me to take pictures of him so that they could see him weak. My siblings and our relationship used to be super close, but ever since I started talking to my dad, they became distant. Now that my dad has passed, I have inherited everything from him and learned that my father owned a lot more properties and had a lot more money than I could have ever imagined. My siblings feel like they are entitled to some of the inheritance and have told me if I don't give them any, they'll stop talking to me and that I'm becoming like my dad. They feel like since they had to go through having my dad as a father, that they deserve some kind of payout. I disagree with them. The reason I got the inheritance is because I gave my dad another chance. I helped him when he was at his weakest, and I went through a lot, juggling raising my children and caring for my dad without any of their help. Even when I begged them to help, they just made fun of me for helping my dad and choosing to forgive him. Now, forgiveness is a choice, and I respect their choice not to forgive, but they didn't respect mine to forgive him and added more difficulty to my life. They act like it was either them or my dad, and now are acting like I'm being selfish for not sharing the inheritance my dad left for me. Am I the a hole for not giving some of my inheritance to my brother and sister? NTA, the father had every right to leave his property to his one child that he had a relationship with. It isn't pettiness on the deceased father's part to reward the child who loved and cared for him when he was ill. Dad wasn't shitty to the end. He sought out the OP to make amends. As she said, he cried and apologized for the way he mistreated her. OP and her father built up a relationship. Her sibling had that choice but refused to do so. They also mocked OP, a single mother with two children, for having a relationship and caring for her father in his home. And now that the father left her with an inheritance, they demand money and threaten emotional blackmail to make her comply. They are AH.